President Buhari inaugurates Nigeria Immigration Service Technology Building, directs officers to make the nation unsafe for criminal elements.
COVID-19 vaccination not end to other safety measures against global pandemic, Health Minister advises Nigerians.
Federal government urges Nigerians to go about their lawful businesses as country's unity is not negotiable.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on how much rest do you get?
Well, it is a commonplace to hear about and perhaps see an individual who in one clean moment appears full of vigor and vitality, but could be down and knocked out the next fleeting moment. So the question Kingsley asked, actually, or was supposed to have asked, as to how much rest do you get, is not just for the fun of it, but the most important thing to note is how much rest do you really get? And when do you know that you have gotten enough rest at a particular point in time?
That's right, Kyria. That's a very pertinent question. And I'm sure we all recall what the Holy Scriptures indicate as to what the Almighty Himself did in terms of creating all that we know about the universe. He walked for 6 days.
And rested.
On the 7th day, he took a rest. And of course, for humanity, the official definition by the World Health Organization states that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Kyria?
Yeah. Now, the harsh economic realities of today's world would no doubt constantly put people on the edge, but finding time to rest and being in the best state of wellness will also enhance productivity. So how do you strike the balance?
Well, according to health experts, getting adequate rest each day allows the body's blood pressure, that's to say the heart's pressure, to regulate itself.
So much is coming by way of model health today, and we will be getting such means as our experts help us link the place of rest, relaxation, and all-round wellness.
Well, it's often been said that insufficient rest has become a normal part of life for many people around the world today. And this is in view of their excruciating daily routines and the struggles to meet their needs.
And you know, in different workplaces, you have people who do shift work. Some people start off at 7 p.m. I know that, of course, naturally, one should be resting, in the night. We see somebody working throughout the night till the next morning.
That's right. And we all see evidence of interruption of work, as it were, or a certain routine activity to take a break.
Exactly.
I mean, for us on Good Morning Nigeria, from time to time, we say we're taking a short break for it. That's right. Otherwise, you and I could just be rattling on for the next 2 hours. For school work, for instance, you also see the pupils go on break. To say, I think it's 10 o'clock or so.
Yes. And return again to
and then you have lunch break, and then, of course, you have terminal breaks, which is at the end of the term, or mid-term break, and then for students of higher learning, of course, you have those breaks at the end of a semester.
And globally, it is embedded in any work arrangement.
That's right.
So research findings indicate that inadequate rest could have adverse consequences in humans, and at times could result to fatality.
No doubt about that. I mean, some road experts indicate, for instance, that one of the causative factors of road crashes is inadequate rest by long-haul drivers, by truckers.
Especially those who do night journeys.
Absolutely so, absolutely so. So why are people sometimes, as it were, if not most times now, depriving themselves of adequate rest? What are the effects of this on their own health and indeed long-term on their productivity? And what does one need to do to get rest, and for how long for each day. What kind of exercise may be required to facilitate health and therefore improves one's good health? What other therapies are probably available to make one have rest for, as I said earlier, enhanced productivity? These are some of the issues we intend to address as we discuss getting adequate rest for good health on today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Kingsley Osadolo, thanking you for tuning in to the program.
And I am Kieran Umai, also welcoming to Good Morning Nigeria, broadcast live from the network service of the NTA. As usual, we have complementary segments, including newspaper review, business news, and others. For now, let's join Dennis Adegunloye for the morning news. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Kieran, and good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. Here's the morning news. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Nigeria Immigration Service to not only improve surveillance and control around the nation's borders, but also ensure that criminal elements don't find Nigeria a safe haven to hide and perpetrate criminality. The president, who gave the directive at the virtual inauguration of the Nigeria Immigration Service Technology Building, also wants security agencies to raise their performance in protecting lives and property.
The security agency, I charge you to be relentless in carrying out your statutory duties of keeping our borders safe while you ensure that criminal elements don't find Nigeria as a safe haven to hide and perpetrate their criminality. I urge you to actively collaborate with international security organizations like the Interpol in safeguarding our borders. Remember that a safe border is a prerequisite for a safe nation.
And President Muhammadu Buhari is urging Nigerians to go about their lawful businesses as the country's unity is not negotiable. The president stated this at an audience with Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, on the State of the Nation.
We are all aware that Mr. President, as a father, is so committed to the peace, security, and well-being of Nigerians, irrespective of your tribe, religion, or where you come from. Mr. President expressed his appreciation to all those who ensure that the impasse is resolved amicably.
As Nigeria rolls out the COVID-19 vaccines beginning from today, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, says the vaccination exercise, though a game changer, should not be regarded as the end of all other safety measures against the global pandemic. The minister was speaking at the second edition of the State House Weekly Briefing, focusing on Nigeria's response to the COVID-19 pandemic in the last 1 year.
You will agree that with the leadership of Mr. President, Nigeria has actually mounted a very robust response to this outbreak.
We've gone through a rigorous process and we're pretty comfortable that the vaccines that we're going to be rolling out in the next couple of days are going to be safe and effective against the virus.
The lab staff took samples, and as we speak, they are working around the clock to test the vaccines.
But I must give a warning right away that it does not mean the end of all other measures. We are not going back on the non-pharmaceutical interventions or the public health measures. They must continue so that we continue to protect ourselves.
Meanwhile, 708 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria in the last 24 hours. In the figures released by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the new infections are from 20 states and the FCT, with Adamawa State having the highest number of new cases with 180. State-by-state figures show that Lagos is second with 140 new cases, then Ondo with 60, Anambra 54, Rivers 41, Taraba 33, Edo 30, Abia and Kaduna 22 cases each, the FCT 21, Akwa Ibom and Kano record 20 new cases each, while Plateau has 11. Other states with new infections are Ekiti, Kebbi and Nasarawa, recording 10 new cases each, Bayelsa 7, Ogun, Osun and Oyo states 5 each, while Gombe records a single case. There are 157,671 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria, out of which 136,335 have been treated and discharged. The death toll is now 1,951. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has called for the restructuring of the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency. He was speaking when he granted audience to the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa. Senator Lawan called for stiffer penalties, observing that the critical role of the anti-drug agency, especially at this period of Nigeria's security challenge, is one that demands more sensitization and even inclusion of the Enlightenment as part of the school curriculum.
The absence of balance. It is amazing that we are the only security agency fighting with barons and live among them also.
This law was signed in 1989 and is therefore, like you have indicated, due for amendment. And I want to take this opportunity to tell you that we are going to give a very expeditious consideration to this amendment bill.
Both parties agreed that illicit use of drugs in Nigeria fuel crime and must be checked by governments, families and religious leaders. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika has disclosed that the Aminu Kano International Airport will soon reopen for international flights. He made the disclosure during an interface with the Kano and Jigawa caucus of the House of Representatives on the matter, while indicating that the Port Harcourt and Enugu airports are also slated for reopening soon for international operations.
We want to ask Your Excellency, Mr. Minister, and members of the relevant aviation agencies, why do we have to continue to have the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport closed down, despite changes, even in the global situations about COVID-19, which of course was the basic reasons why all the international airports were shut down.
Right now, we are certifying Kano Airport to become the third certified airport in Nigeria. It has never been done before this government came in. And so on and so forth, that we're putting infrastructure in Kano to ensure that Kano comes back to life.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is currently debating how best to effectively manage and regulate the practice of lobbying as a specialized area of public relations. The group is utilizing a 3-day workshop holding in Calabar to brainstorm on the issue.
Public relations experts can play an important role in ensuring that managers are communicated accurately. You all have an understanding of what messages resonate and how to best pitch them.
I would therefore recommend a full unit in the Department of Mass Communication that will take lobbying as a full program.
The words of the governor, and I agree with him, as part of a study in the tertiary institutions. Imperative of bringing to fore the issue of lobbying, and we felt it was time that we came together since we believe it is a public relations function. Issue of lobbying, it enhances participation in the decision and policy making process.
And that concludes the news segment of the program Good Morning Nigeria. Continues with Kingsley and Kieran after this break. Stay tuned.
Hello, I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
It's called Oja Village. Kadesi. we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. We are trying, Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Mommy is ready to receive me a bundle of joy. Mommy is making my home cleaner and safer. We are Dettol, Dettol Sure.
Illnesses can happen at home too. That's why Dettol and me together will make my baby's home safe and to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol, Dettol Sure.
We are Dettol, Dettol Sure.
Get your Milo FC Barcelona limited edition pack now before the final whistle blows on this promotion.
Guess what?
What?
I scored a hat trick today.
Cool!
Wow!
And how did you celebrate?
Just do your hands like this.
And hold the nose like this?
Body odor is caused by germs. That's why you need the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which protects against 99.9% odor-causing germs with an extra burst of menthol freshness. Dettol, be 100% sure.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College Jaws invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. 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 My culture preaches peace.
Even our religion
preaches peace.
If our culture preaches peace, remember your culture. Use your voter's card. Vote peacefully
and wisely. We are one.
This message is from the National Council for Arts and Culture.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
We are watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we're glad to have you with us. Now, let's go business. Farmers set to enjoy more financing as Nigeria diversifies her economy. Let's now join Chimobi Water Energy for more on business news.
Farmers are getting up to 75% guarantee to mitigate risk associated with lending to agriculture through the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund that encourages banks to lend to players in the agricultural value chain. Following the amendment of the Funds Act in 2019, President Buhari approved the increase of the share capital of the fund from 3 to 50 billion naira to enable it cope with the fast-changing economic environment.
The fund is also different in the sense that before now, it used to fund just production, but now the fund is funding the whole of the agricultural value chain. So the fund is bigger and ready to serve Nigerians more.
Very important, we want people to be able to repay so that others can benefit. Same thing with the Anchor Borrower program. We're promoting that, look, we no longer will take cash from you. We'll take every single commodity that you produce, we'll guarantee the price, and then we'll connect that with mailers, we'll give loans to the processors to be able to offtake what you have.
Meanwhile, the management of the African Continental Free Trade Area is assuring that it is working to see that the continental market does not serve as avenue for dumping of goods produced outside to protect jobs in the domestic market.
We don't want a shirt to be imported into the market. You put a button on it and you say made in the AfCFTA. We want to have a rules of origin regime that fosters industrialization on the African continent. This is how we will develop our continent. This is how we will industrialize our continent. And so we have to work very closely with customs authorities to enforce the rules of origin.
Here is a graphic representation of trading figures on the floor of the exchange. With business news, I'm Chimubi Walter Naji.
Thank you, Chimubi Walter Naji, for the business package. Up next is newspaper review.
And here we have Bayo Toyebi, our reviewer. Bayo, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Kirian. Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley.
Bayo,
good morning, Nigeria.
All right, so let's begin by taking a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Buhari orders security beef up at borders. Mixed reactions over call for beef boycott by Afenifere and others. Gunmen abduct 50 in Zamfara, burn houses. Gunmen abduct 50 in Zamfara, burn houses. That's page 4. A list story comes with a double-decker headline, Target Vulnerable Poor with COVID-19 vaccine, federal government urged. It should not be politicized, that's according to experts. Hitches with registration portal and states express readiness to reach all. And the photographs there on the front page show some of the storage facilities for vaccines at the Emergency Operations Center of the Mohammed Abdullahi Wase Specialist Hospital in Kano. Faulty internal memo responsible for 101 missing soldiers report. That's according to the Army. Police rearraign doctor over false rape allegations. NIWA increases cargo trips from Lagos to Onitsha Port. Drug barons funding terrorists and bandits. That's according to the Senate President.
All right, the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate of the Nation, 5 million naira bounty on Suswam's brothers' killers. That's on page 6. Border towns join smugglers to attack our men, says the Customs Controller General. Border towns join smugglers to attack our men. It's on page 3. One dies in Gombe. governor's convoy accident. Bandits leader, soldier killed in Kaduna and in Katsina. It's on page 2. Now the photo story below the nameplate is that of the president and the Kogi State Governor, who actually briefed the president on the outcome of talks with Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria that ended the north to south food blockade. Now the lead story this morning on the Nation, Governor ACF back order to shoot bandits with AK-47. Sans fault presidential directive. ARG, a blanket order is abuse. That's according to senior advocates of Nigeria. Buhari Osinbajo governors set to take COVID-19 vaccine jabs. 50% Nigerians ready for doses. Data drop in positive cases, not true reflection of infection rate. Is on pages 5 and 27 of the Nation. Kano Hezbollah to arrest street hawkers. Page 6. Jigawa representative killer dies. It's on page 5. Now let's bring in Bayo now.
Thank you, Kirian. President Muhammadu Buhari has urged the Nigerian Immigration Service to improve surveillance and control at the nation's borders. This was done while he was inaugurating virtually the Nigeria Immigration Service Technology Building. The president emphasized that security agents have to raise their performance, particularly to collaborate with Interpol to safeguard borders. He enjoined them to remember that they are our windows to the world, and therefore a safe border is a prerequisite for a safe nation. The Minister of Interior, Abdulrauf Aregbesola, says that the weak link to security had been the land borders. The technology building, he says, will play a pivotal role in aiding security, and he ordered that henceforth 50% of immigration personnel will now work at the borders. Nigeria has about 36,450 kilometers of land and marine border. On the side of the land, we have an outstretch of 4,910 kilometers. Our border with Niger is the longest, 1,500 kilometers. That of Cameroon is 1,200 kilometers. Our border with Benin Republic is 770 kilometers. The shortest of our border is with Chad, and it is for 80 kilometers. The Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria have called off their foodstuff embargo aimed at halting freighting of foodstuff across the River Niger. Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello brokered the truce. The Food Cattle and Dealers Union leader Mohammed Tahir demanded that their members must be protected anywhere they are in the country. Governor Bello said he got the commitment of them to stop their embargo of foodstuff haulage, and also on the other hand, he got the commitment against attack of other northern traders in the southern part of the country. It is agreed that identified criminals, irrespective of their ethnic group or faith, will be handed over to law enforcement agents. Issues on compensation for losses of lives and livelihood, bringing the perpetrators to justice, as well as eliminating extortions by law enforcement agents on the highway across the nation, is also issues that are... In fact, the traders complain that if you freight cattle from Adama before you get to Lagos, you will have paid law enforcement agents who will stop and search on the highway so much money that they pay over 100,000. So whatever they pay on the highway is eventually put on the goods they sell. So sometimes the high cost of foodstuff is predicated on some of the illegal levies they are forced to pay on the highway.
The amount they pay, according to them, is at least 250,000 naira. That's $250,000.
Yes. There's curfew imposed on Jangebe. Jangebe, you remember, is where 279 junior girls secondary school students were abducted. This occurred when they were brought to Jangebe to be handed over to their parents. Unfortunately, there was violence, and the parents snatched their children and took them away. In the process, one person was killed. Zamfara State government has imposed curfew. The Commissioner for Information, Suleiman Anka, says that this is to, the dusk to dawn curfew is to prevent further breach of the peace. Meanwhile, the state government has also stopped the activities, suspended activities at the market. The commissioner says there are strong evidence that the market activities in the town aids and abets bandit activities. The other interesting story relates to COVID-19. The national
sorry, sorry, please, I'm not stopping from the COVID-19 story. This presidential directive, which the SANs are now faulting, is one of those things that the lawyers do that I don't really cherish. They are saying that, look, that they're kicking against the order because it's contrary to the law and might lead to unintended consequences. Do some clarification on this.
Any initiative you take for a measure is likely to be abused unless guidelines are provided. Certainly there will be guidelines provided, but it's not the first time you've had an order of shoot aside. During the era of President Olusegun Obasanjo, there was a time there was violence. I think it was in Zaki Biam and one other place, and he gave an order of shoot aside. Even recently in Ebonyi State, there was conflict within communities in Effiong. When the governor got there, he gave instruction to the security men, anybody you see with arms, shoot aside. Immediately, that violence went down. Although there are indications that it has gone underground and the governor is tackling it. But naturally, so there will be instances of abuse unless the military personnel and the police personnel are given strict guidance about how to go about it.
Anybody who is bearing AK-47, who is not a security officer, it is illegal. It is illegal, right? So, and if it's not properly checked, it's found that people carry. In fact, near my village, on one location, I saw some persons, perhaps herders, wearing AK-47. Of course, but two of them, they can use it. Right. So if this directive is not really, if you bring in anything that will inhibit the obstacles that then people will now cash in on it. So if you're not an officer who is given the statutorily should carry AK-47, I wonder what anybody should be doing with AK-47, and that's a very dangerous weapon. It's not just a gun. It has some capabilities.
Self-reloading, automatic reloading.
It's a high caliber weapon, but I don't understand. You said you had some grounds with what the lawyers or sons were saying. That was your preface.
Yes.
But you seem to be agreeing with them in the end, or what Bayo explained.
No, they didn't talk about guidelines. They said it could be abused. That is not. That is against the law. It's being contrary to the law.
No, see, I think that's what Bayo also explained. Now that there is an order to shoot on sight anyone bearing an AK-47 or some other such
who is not a security officer,
self-loading rifle, that is carrying it unlawfully, take the person down because of the circumstance, so that it doesn't then become an excuse for any law enforcement officers. Look, I saw Bayo with, or I saw Mr. X with an AK-47 or with some other assault weapon or assault rifle, and then I took the person down. Of course, the person you have taken down will not be available to give evidence when the matter has been tried. So it is to prevent potential abuses of the rights of individuals that this caution is now being issued. But I agree clearly, the order is also not being given in a vacuum, which is why the lawyers are also making their point. We still have the Firearms Act in our statute books. So unfortunately, it is a lax enforcement of the provisions of those Firearms Act, the provisions of the Firearms Act, that led to the proliferation of all kinds of small arms and light weapons. So first of all, you have no right to bear a weapon unless you have a license or unless you are a law enforcement officer. And if it is not all law enforcement officers that at all material times carry arms. That's why they have an armorer. You have to sign for it. That's before it is issued to you. You sign for the weapon. You also sign for the ammunition, and you account for it whenever you're coming back. So that's even for those who are law enforcement officers. It's not everybody that has an assault weapon or something. It's usually for operations. So, but in this case, where virtually everywhere bandits are openly flaunting their weapons, and those who say that they are guarding their stock or their properties are also bearing weapons. It's a different ballgame because, as you said, there have been instances of abuse where some of their ranks have been infiltrated by criminal elements, and they just waylay people on the highway, kidnap them, and put to sleep, those whom they think they want to put to sleep, or those who are not cooperating with them.
In fact, it happened yesterday. Gunmen are reported to have invaded Tungar Bauchi in Zamfara State. They carted away 50%. How did they do that? They, in fact, gave notice that they were coming. The villagers, they made demands of the villagers. The villagers could not meet their demand. They left, some of them left their village, went to others. They came in, burned houses, and took away 50%, including women and children. And usually, that is their strategy. They come, shoot into the air, scare people. Even within the FCT here, there is a case whereby a pregnant woman was shot. 3 persons, including her husband, were taken away. The criminals only left the woman because they saw how...
What kind of criminals are those ones, Bayo? What kind of criminals? Are those ones still bandits or they are now terrorists?
Gunmen, bandits, terrorists, what separates them? They are creating terror in the atmosphere, so they are all criminals, they are all terrorists.
Big time. And then, of course, you move against them the way you move against terrorists. What are the rules of engagement? I mean, if you saw an armed robber on the highway, what are the rules of engagement? An armed robber on the highway. And if you recall, there were cases decided in this country in the past that, look, if you waylaid a victim using a toy gun or some other dummy, you will still be sentenced, and people and the accused persons were sentenced to death.
Yes.
Because the victim
believed it's
at the moment you accosted him, had no opportunity of evaluating what you had, whether it was a toy gun or a real gun. And then, of course, they were taken to the stakes after they were condemned, and that's what happened.
And we witnessed a case where armed robbers, attacked a particular family, and one member of the family just felt that it could be a toy gun, and he was just whispering to the other person that guy is carrying a toy gun. And eventually it wasn't a toy gun. He said, okay, fine. You say I'm carrying a toy gun, so you think I can come out at the middle of the night with a toy gun? All right, open your mouth. He did, and he shot him. They say it's not a toy gun. So
cruel. No, that's cruel. Absolutely.
It's really cruel. I think the proliferation of small arms in the country is quite huge. At this point in time. And this shoot at sight, for me, is good. It is good because, one, I can tell you that if you ask Nigerians who own guns today to line up on the street, you'll be shocked what you're going to get. Even in the city of Abuja here, many people have AK-47 even in their homes.
Well, the shoot aside...
Kira, do you have more?
The shoot aside is a caveat emptor. A carrier of a gun, be aware, you could be shot aside.
Is it shoot on sight, gentlemen? I mean, let's get this clear. I mean, the common expression is shoot at
sight.
It's on sight.
On sight.
Because you see, when you wait. Sorry, I'm not doing this to the viewer. You have to get that bio. We've been told to wrap up. I bet we've spent quite a while, and it's been lovely having you around for today and also for the week.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoy your weekend. All right, Kiriat, I think that does it for us in the Super Review segment. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll be dealing with a subject that should be of interest to you out there, namely, how much rest do you get and how do you get rest?
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Mommy is ready to receive me a bundle of joy. Mommy is making my home cleaner and safer. We are Dettol Dettol Shore.
Illnesses can happen at home too. That's why Dettol and me together will make my baby's home safe and to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol. Dettol Shore.
We are Dettol Shore.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest asset the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Guess what?
What?
I scored a hat trick today.
Cool.
Wow.
And how did you celebrate?
Just do your hands like this.
And hold your nose like this?
Body odor is caused by germs. That's why you need the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which protects against 99.9% odor-causing germs with an extra burst of menthol freshness. Dettol, be 100% sure.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the health protection regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask, keep social and physical distancing, avoid crowded places, wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, and use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
The program is still Good Morning Nigeria, and as a prompt for our conversation this morning, let's take this vox pop put together by Victor Azu as a backgrounder.
I try to use my weekend to actually praise God. Okay, when you preach, when you teach others, it makes you relax instead of you being tensed up. That is what I do in order to relieve myself of stress. Talk to people about God is refreshing enough for me.
I work from 9 to 5. So after work, I will just go and sleep and continue the next day. If I keep resting, Restructuring will not pay bills for me.
Personally, what I do is that after work, I make sure that I sleep early. I sleep early, sometimes by 8, 9. I'm already sleeping. And occasionally by weekend, when I'm around, I try as much as possible to rest. And you know, as a Christian, Sundays we go to church. After church, I do not go anywhere. I make sure that I rest. You know, the issue of not resting is something that I've sent a lot of people to early grave.
No matter how workaholic you are, you take a rest. It's good to rest. Even though you take a nap or during the night, you make sure you have a full rest by sleeping on time. Because me as a person, the way I rest is after every daily work, in the evening, after I've eaten, even though I'm not feeling sleepy, I relax. The sleep takes me off because I'm going to wake as early as 4 a.m. in the morning to start the day.
For my health and also because I enjoy it, I play golf 4 times a week. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. During the week, I play 9 holes, about 2 hours. Then on Saturday, I play 18 holes, which is about 4 to 5 hours of golf. So, and this has been going on for over 15 years. When it's raining and I cannot go to play my golf, I love music. Fortunately, I still am able to play my guitar and sing and perform in my house and rest, or I watch TV. I relax by watching TV. TV has become a part of me. It's not just work, it's also fun and a form of relaxation. I leave my TV on. People wonder, how do you sleep with your TV on? I wake, sleep, watch. I love movies, I love music, I love entertainment, wherever I can find it. And especially if there's golf on TV, I watch.
All right, many thanks, Victor Azu. But unfortunately, you didn't get our own Peter Ego to strum on his guitar to give us a tune there, Kira.
Yeah, he's a very good singer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Peter Ego there, former executive director of programs of the Nigerian Television Authority, along, of course, with other respondents in that Vox Pop on this very significant topic of getting adequate rest. Let's welcome our guests to discuss this issue. First, some of our regulars, Dr. Olushola Ephraim Oluwanuga, senior lecturer in psychiatry at the College of Medicine, University of Abuja, and also chief consultant psychiatrist at the National Hospital, also in Abuja. Dr. Olushola Ephraim Oluwanuga, delighted to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's welcome a new face, Dr. Mbamalu Chibuike, is chairman, Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy of the Federal Capital Territory Chapter. Dr. Chibuike, delighted to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria.
And from Ibadan studio, we have Professor Nito Shenge, psychologist and public health expert, University of Ibadan. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. In our Ibadan studio, we have Dr. Jibrin Abdul Malik. Abdul Malik is the founder of SIDO Foundation. Thanks for joining us this morning on our show.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Not speaking to us.
Well, they are wearing a mask. Dr. Abdul Malik, of course, is a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria. He's a consultant psychiatrist as well. We saw that the audio, so that the sign language that we're getting from them this morning.
We needed to hear from them to ensure that the audio is through.
It's true, that's right. So, gentlemen, Shenge and Abdul Malik, delighted to have you both on Good Morning Nigeria. Let's just begin by getting to understand what is rest. Dr. Olushola, what is rest? I mean, Kiran and I, when we were starting this program, referenced the provisions in the, or documentation rather, in the scriptures that the Almighty, when He was creating heaven and earth, walked for 6 days, and then on the 7th day, He took a rest. So, what is rest for us humans?
Okay, thank you. I think I would like to define rest as taking a pause. Taking a pause from our activities, going up and down, allowing our bodies and our minds to rejuvenate and gather energy again. I think I would define rest that way.
All right. Okay, let's see,
very crisp.
continue with let's continue with the definition of what rest is. Because if you had watched the Vox Pop, put together by Victor Azo, you have some people saying that they also get rest by way of going about to preach to people, right? And some said, look, sleeping is it for them. And as Peter also mentioned here, he plays music sometimes, watches TV and what have you. So from your own point of view, what is rest?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, rest is a period of reduced bodily activities. So once you are in a relaxed mode, it's just about a kind of taking a pause from your regular stress activities, like taking a pause from your work, having a time for yourself, resting by watching a movie or listening to music or exercising, just making sure it is not something that actually stresses you. It's something that actually helps to kind of review of your stress.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jubuke. Let's go over to our Ibadan Network Center, where we have Dr. Jibril Abdul Malik and Professor Shenge. Well, gentlemen, I will reframe the question. Instead of asking what is rest, I would say, as they used to give us those questions in those days, and you both are academics, distinguish between rest and relaxation, and distinguish between rest and sleep, and distinguish between rest and a pause from routine activities. Loaded questions. So, gentlemen, you take it. With Professor Dr. Jibril Abdul Malik.
Loaded, double-barreled question. So, thank you very much. There are some similarities. So, rest is similar to a downtime. It's about, I think we can say they are synonymous. So, a period of rest is a period of downtime, as other distinguished speakers have already explained what rest is. Now, the difference between rest and relaxation is that when you are resting, you may just be taking a pause. You may just be taking a downtime and you sort of try to blank out. But relaxation is doing something that gives you pleasure, like listening to music that is soothing to you, or watching a movie that is entertaining to you. So that is relaxing, or watching a football match. Assuming you are not a die-hard fan that will jump up and get really tense when your team is losing. Okay, if it can be relaxing for you, if it's something that gives you pleasure, or maybe you already know the result and you know your team won, so you can watch it in a relaxed manner. So relaxation is doing something pleasurable that gives you joy. And of course, sleep, we all know, is when your brain shuts down and your level of consciousness is altered because you are asleep at that period of time. So that's how I will attempt to answer the question, to talk about rest, relaxation, and sleep, where rest is the same as a downtime. Thank you.
Yeah, the same question. Yes.
Let me score Abdul Malik.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Dr. Abdul Malik, for your response, you scored an A.
All right, Professor Ito Shenge, Abdul Malik said that relaxation is when you are doing something pleasurable. And we heard from persons who responded to our correspondent, they tend to mix that up. What they gave us as the rest also tilts towards relaxation. So what is your own take?
Good morning, Nigerians. Rest entails taking a break from active physical, psychic, and emotional activities. You are taking a break so that you are not so involved at that time. And when we talk about relaxation, we're talking about doing something that one derives pleasure from, it. And so compared with rest, you are looking at that in terms of different, you look at that in terms of the level of involvement. And of course, sleep is a complete shutdown, as Dr. Abdul Malik has said. You are operating at a different level of wakefulness, also level of activity. You are shut down. You are not aware. The level of awareness is low or completely zero. But sleep is not a one-state phenomenon like that. There are different levels of sleep. So we can say that there are levels. There are sleep levels that one can still have some level of perception of activities, whereas there are some that one is completely shut down and is not aware of anything going on around him or her. So these are the differences that I would point out, and of course there are similarities too. But the one distinguishing feature, one thing that helps us to know the difference is the level of involvement and whether or not one is deriving pleasure from what he is doing. As we say that relaxation entails pleasure. But of course, there are some people that actually naturally love doing working. So some people work and derive pleasure from working also. So not just relaxation.
Okay, Professor Shenge, another A for you there from our Ibadan Network Center. The two guests we have in the studios already got their A's, and Dr. Abdul Malik also got his A. All right, so thank you very much for your response. There are a number of ramifications to all of this, but let's now begin to really contextualize it, because yes, you talk about downtime, you talk about a pause, you talk about trying to rejuvenate yourself and all of that, but ultimately the human body and therefore the human being requires rest. What are the likely consequences of rest deprivation, or for that matter, what kind of activity can transmute again from rest to just becoming an engagement? Let's return to Dr. Oluwanuga.
Okay. Thank you. Now, rest is very important for the body and the mind, because that is the time when let me just use the term recharge our batteries. And it's very, very important to rest. You quoted the scriptures at the beginning and saying when man was made, he was programmed in a way that he should rest, and he was so instructed. And regardless of what a person does, a person needs to rest in order to, in fact, keep their sanity. For example, if a person should decide not to sleep for days on end, at some point, sheer tiredness is going to knock the person down. But if a person does not rest enough, it also begins to show. You find somebody that does not rest enough will become irritable, can even become more accident prone, because of the fact that their reflexes are no longer as sharp as they ought to be. So you find that rest is protective of the body. You also find that, in fact, when people don't rest, for children, for example, they grow during the period when they rest, during their sleeping period. So it's important for growth, it's important for rejuvenation, it's important to preserve body and mind.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Mbamalo Chibike, you are the chairman of a Society of Physiotherapy, and that has to be with some body movement, right? And I'd like you to look at rest from that perspective. Now, how would you determine that someone has gotten enough rest?
Okay. When you're talking about resting or sleeping, it varies from age to age. Just like for an infant that is about 0 to 3 months, requires a period of about 14 to 17 hours of sleep every day in 24 hours. Then for a teenager, let's say about between 13 and 17 years of age, would definitely require about 9 to 11 hours, while an adult requires about 7 to 10 hours. of sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending. So, but unfortunately, Nigerians don't rest. Nigerians, not all, but most, don't actually bring out time to kind of rest. They will rather prefer to be trying to, they use the word hustling, trying to make ends meet. So because of that, most of the times, they don't take a nap. Most of the time, they don't take a kind of bring out time either in the afternoon or whatever to rest. And most of the times, rest actually happens during the day. So a situation whereby you notice that you are driving, you see yourself sleeping, trying to sleep, getting drowsy, it means that you're not taking enough rest. If a situation whereby you are just, you just sit down in your calm environment, as you're just sitting and you doze off immediately, it means that you're not getting enough rest. There's a situation whereby you just wake up and you're still feeling drowsy, or you are using an alarm clock to wake yourself up every morning, it means you're not getting enough rest. And when it comes to, there are so many health challenges associated with this. A situation whereby you're not resting, sleeping adequately will definitely affect your heart health, will definitely affect your, some people that are actually overweight. When you are not resting, you see yourself getting fat, getting big. So people will be asking, how is this possible? It's because of the control of the hormone that controls appetite. So when you rest well, it makes you to reduce the quantity of food you eat. But when you're always awake, your brain will feel tired. You always like to kind of take some junks. You see yourself getting bigger, kind of increasing weight. So it as well affects your immune system when you are not resting, because once you're not resting, your immune system will definitely be affected. It has even to the extent of affecting your digestive system, causing inflammation in your bowels, in your intestine, which can as well result to ulcer. So there are so many things. It affects your brain activities. So a situation whereby you notice that you're not getting, you are slow to react to some certain things, you're not very sharp as you used to be. Check yourself very well. It's possible that you're not resting very well. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Chibuke. While we are still on this path of the conversation, let's go to Ibadan one more time. Dr. Abdul Malik, well, why should you rest as an individual, and what are the consequences of inadequate rest?
Right, thank you very much. We need to rest because the way our body is structured is such a way that we cannot be working 24/7 without taking breaks. As my teacher, Dr. Oluwanuga, there in the studio, in Abuja studio, had mentioned earlier, our brain, for instance, let's not forget that when we are talking about rest, it's not just physical rest, it's also mental rest. Our brain needs to also shut down, right? Our brain, the nerves of our brain, they repair themselves when we are sleeping. Things like memory is deposited and consolidated during some stages of sleep. So it is critical, and then our body needs time out. It's like a system. You have a laptop, you open 20 windows, you are working all the time. If you are not careful, except maybe your laptop is very high power, it may suddenly hang and stop responding. And the only way you can get it to respond is when you forcefully shut it down to restart by force. Then it will start responding. As human beings, we do not want to wait until such a time as our brain hangs or freezes or our body breaks down before we know we should rest. So the same way we take care of our gadgets, we know we should charge our phone, we know we should restart our laptop from time to time so that, it's a maximum operating system. That same way is how we should look after our body, physical body, mental, our mind also, we need to take breaks. Now, what then happens when you are not taking breaks? Firstly, it means that you are going to be stressed. And when you are stressed, stress is normal in life because there are hormones in our body that our body produces when we are exposed to stress, when you are in a dangerous situation. And those hormones are protective. But when you are now stressed for a long time and the hormones are pouring out continuously, that is bad. It damages, I think Dr. Mbamalu mentioned it, that it damages your immune system, it damages your cardiovascular, it raises your blood pressure, you develop anxiety. It is harmful when you are stressed for a long time. It damages every aspect of your body, and that is not good for us. So that's why we have to rest to ensure that we are not stressed for too long, which damages our immune system. Let's not forget we are in COVID era now, and we know that for COVID-19, apart from the vaccine, there is no treatment. Our best bet when you are infected with COVID-19 is your immune system to protect you, to help you overcome the virus. And that immune system is what lack of rest, what lack of rest damages. So it should be very clear why we need rest. It is our foolproof protective mechanism to ensure that we live a healthy life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now to Professor Newton Shenge. So when should a person rest? Some jobs are structured in such a way that people work at night. And one now wonders, if you work at night, perhaps from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., that means on that particular day, you did not get a sleep. And in some cases, the same person could work in the day. So when should one rest? How would somebody now strike the balance as to when to rest if you are involved in such a job?
Thank you so much. Let me say that human beings are different, although there are some similarities. People are different in terms of their coping abilities, in terms of the threshold that they have, in terms of what they can do. For one person, working 6 hours non-stop is not a big deal. For others, you have to break in between time. So people are different. However, one indicator that one is not functioning well is when the performance is not good. The performance is not a quality performance. There are disruptions, there are mistakes, there are so many other things that are affecting the outcome of what the person is doing. And so when that when that shows up, such a person should know that he or she is getting towards a breaking point, a point that he or she needs to take some rest. So we need to understand that. We need to also understand that some other things that affect, that show up or come out when we do not rest might include such things as irritability. You are responding in an irritable way to things that ordinarily shouldn't be responded to that way. You are bored, you are tired, and you cannot function again. Some people might go on working, but they discover that the quality of what their output is no longer the way it should be. But above all, whether a person is working well or not, we should realize that at a certain point, we should just take some rest, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we need to leave whatever we are doing. Of course, Nigerians do not like taking rest. Sometimes it's not deliberate. It's because of the environment that we find ourselves in. For instance, the noise levels around, the distractions, and so on and so forth, the survivalist activities. For instance, in Nigeria, we have talked about where the government has introduced something that people jumped at, and so we say we want to monetize our leave. You know, we are in the era of monetization. People can work all through the year, and then everything, the leave is monetized, and that is very dangerous because it affects the body, and the body is way down. The immune system is suppressed, and that affects the way we respond to illnesses and diseases. And we know, as my other colleagues have said, that the body responds in different ways. For instance, we talk about the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, the way they operate, acting against each other. And so when a rest takes place, it now becomes a period of recouping, a period of regeneration, a period of trying to put things in place again, so that like a good soldier, you will fight again when you are confronted, either by sicknesses or other adversities. So rest is very important, and when we are not doing that, we are damaging ourselves over a long period of time. And stress, of course, when stress is within tolerable levels, it is good because it drives performance. But when it becomes intense and excessive, it becomes counterproductive, and we should avoid that tendency of encountering the level of stress that is intolerable, that we cannot cope with, because that can aid in shutting down the system, and we can no longer function, and that is not good enough.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Professor Shenge. Let's come back to Dr. Olushola. The question about a body clock and rest. Kirian was asking, look, suppose somebody's on a night shift, and there are persons who are on night shifts, but of course, there is more human activity during the daytime. So how do you manage your body clock and the demands of rest?
Okay, thank you. You know, when people work at night, sometimes it's a regular thing. Sometimes it happens rarely, and I'll explain. Supposing somebody is a pastor now, or a cleric, and occasionally you have all-night prayers with your congregation, that's a bit different from somebody, let's say, is a nurse, or a medical worker, or even television staff who work night shift to keep the night shift on. Now, those ones have schedules. Those whose jobs have regular night periods, they have schedules, so that if they work, they get days off during which they don't work at all, because they having deprived themselves. When someone is working at night, it's like the person is on reserve battery. So yes, so they need to then have periods to compensate for those days of night shift. And it's very important to use those periods. Unfortunately, sometimes people then think that, oh, they should use that period to do other things, but it ends up telling on the body. Lack of sleep is very dangerous to the biological clock, even to the reproductive cycle. You find that people need to sleep, and people need to sleep during the dark, when there's a substance called melatonin that we use to regulate our body in terms of recognizing day and night and resting day and night accordingly. So you find that the night sleep is important, and it must be restored after periods of working at night. Very important.
Okay, thank you. I want to return to Ibadan. Dr. Abdul Malik, still on the body clock and rest. Of course, there are occupational issues in this kind of matter. And unfortunately, persons who ordinarily have off days to compensate for their night work use their rest periods in doing other things. But sometimes it so happens that your body just gets used to it, and all right, so daytime you are awake, at night you are also awake. What can the individual do, knowing the fuller benefits of rest, to make this balance between, yes, being active in the daytime and then also working at night, or at awkward hours, let's put it that way, so that the body system doesn't get impaired on account of insufficient rest?
Right. Thank you very much, sir, for this question. The very good thing about us as human beings is that our body and our mind is very, very flexible and trainable. That is actually the basis for doing therapy for those of us in the mental health profession, that we can learn, unlearn, condition our body, our mind in certain ways. So it's like when you travel outside your time zone, for instance, your body clock already, that's why we talk about jet lag, right? Our body clock takes a while. The sleep-wake cycle is a circadian, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythmical or biological clock kind of thing. So when it has been programmed in a certain way, if you disrupt that schedule, for instance, you start doing night shift for some time and so on, you can reprogram your body to unlearn those habits and to learn when to fall asleep and so on and so forth. Even soldiers learn this so that even in the peak of battle, they can take naps and, with bullets flying and all of that. They need the rest so that they can be able to perform optimally. Their life, their survival may depend on it. So for us that is not in wartime, there are certain strategies we can use that are called sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene, just basic things like hygiene that helps to promote good sleep. For instance, if you are no longer on call or you've been on shift duty, but now you are not on night duty for the next 2 weeks, you can train your body to learn to sleep and shut down at night. For instance, let's say you have regular shutdown time, let's say 10 p.m. At that time, put off your phone, put off gadgets, put off the television, and other things that will distract you. If you sleep better with dim light, make sure you dim the light. If you don't mind having lights on, that is also fine. Then make sure you don't take stimulants towards evening. Stimulants like coffee, like Lipton, like cola nuts, anything that has caffeine or that will keep you alert, so that your body will begin to shut down. Other things you can do is relaxing, soothing exercise like 3 or 4 hours before your bedtime. So and when you say exercise, it doesn't mean you need to go to the gym. You can take a walk in your compound. You can walk from one end of the fence to the other 50 times. Your body will get tired, your muscles will get tired, and then they will send a signal to your brain that they need to rest so that your brain can shut down. So exercise, but the exercise should not be too close. It should be at least 3 to 4 hours before your scheduled bedtime. And I'm sure the chairman of physiotherapists will also tell us about the critical value of exercise in promoting rest and sleep. So when you do all of this, and the other thing is that you can take a shower and other things that will help you condition. So you can have like a routine, a bedtime routine. So that just like what they taught us in secondary school, Ivan Pavlov's experiment with the dog salivating when they ring a bell, we can also teach our body that once it's 9:30 p.m., you go and take a shower, you've already had a walk earlier, you change into your night clothes, you retire to the bed, you dim the lights, you put off your phone, and you put it away. It's not enough to put it on silent, because if you put it on silent, if a message comes, the light will come on, and it will still attract or distract you. So don't just put it on silent. If you are putting it on silent, put it in a wardrobe or in the drawer so that you can't see it, except if you are a doctor and you are on a call and they may call you in the night. Otherwise, put it away. So if you do these things, you will find therefore that after a few days, the moment you start going to take your bath, your body will sense that, oh, okay, we are shutting down, or it's bedtime routine we've activated. So your eyes will already start dropping. Even before you get to the stage of getting into bed and putting on the cover sheets, you already start dozing. So these strategies are called sleep hygiene. So that is what we can do to regulate our sleep when it has been distorted. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Abdul Malik, thank you very much. I would like Professor Shenge to also respond to aspects of what you have said. Yes, in trying to observe sleep hygiene, Professor Shenge, we do know. If you silence your phone, for instance, or you switch it off, there are persons who will call you at that material time, and then by the time your phone is reactivated, the first thing will be to put you on the defensive by laying an accusation. I've been calling you since you didn't take my call. What is the problem? And therefore, sometimes you get compelled to say, okay, let me just take this call, and then you disrupt your sleep hygiene. Secondly, if you are trying to also train yourself to say, look, you will sleep at certain times of the day or at certain hours, some persons, of course, apparently out of ignorance, will be calling you and then you are sleeping, and when you wake up and you return the call or you try to respond to the interview, first you say, you are sleeping at this time. How do you deal with such social pressures?
Thank you so much. Well, let me start with the first part of the question by saying that sometimes you can't just satisfy the world. You can't just satisfy everyone. You can't just keep your phone on all through the night just because someone might call, and that if you do not answer, you'll be queried, so to say, later on. It's about your own health. There will come a time that you just have to shut down your phone. But like Dr. Malik said, there are people who are working in certain areas, for instance, people who are on call, who might just have to leave their phone on. Otherwise, it is good that you take a break completely and then stay away from taking calls and so on. And I think also that people have to understand that distractions can actually weigh us down. You can provide good explanation to people and they say, oh, sorry, I needed to rest. I needed to rest. And people will understand. If they do not understand, that's something different, but that's okay. And so we need to take that break. Here, the environment is so full of distraction, so much noisy. Sometimes I refer to us in Nigeria, as people, being a noisy environment. It affects so many things that we do. A noisy environment even affects productivity, affects the quality of output, that we have. I'll give you a personal example. I lived in Canada for so many years, and by the grace of God, I compose and I sing songs, especially in my own native language. And I just realized that the time that I was away in Canada, for instance, because of the very, the stimulating environment, so to say, in terms of the distraction that the noise not being so much, I realized that I was more productive in terms of the song output and the quality of song. When I listen to them today and I compare to what I try to do here, sometimes I sit back here and I strain myself to compose a song. It does not come. So that tells us the extent to which noise affects us and affects productivity. So we have to plan for that and to work towards that. Otherwise, it's going to affect us, affect our health, and that is not good enough. It affects memory. It affects our relationship with people. If you don't sleep well, you are going to be irritable. If you don't sleep well, you are going to be prone to accident. If you don't sleep well, you are prone to decision making that will be very costly some other time. And for those who engage in some other activities like driving commercial vehicles and even private vehicles, that could be very catastrophic. So quality of sleep is very important, and it's not a joke. We should try to observe that. Of course, we talked about the psychological clock, which people generally talk about in the circadian rhythm and so on. People change environment, people try to readjust. Of course, this has to do with conditioning. You have to condition yourself. For instance, when we fly to a new time zone over a long stretch of time, our psychological clock is disrupted. We need some kind of adjustment to reset it. And until you reset it, you are not going to be at rest. You are not going to be comfortable. So you do that. It depends on individuals who do that. Some people do the resetting very quickly. Others take a longer time to do it. So these are the differences that we should know. But above all, sleep and quality sleep are very, very important. Thank you.
All right. thank you very much, sir. I was actually going to ask him to explain further on this issue of resetting your body system, because you don't have control of your body, especially your internal chemistry to adjust yourself. If you leave your time zone, possibilities are that some may find it difficult to readjust or to reprogram their system, because of course we differ, as human beings. But be that as it may, maybe in the course of the program I could bring back that person. But for now, we need to have a break. Let's have a break, and when we return, the conversation continues.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Guess what?
What?
I scored a hat trick today.
Cool!
Wow!
And how did you celebrate?
Just do your hands like this.
And hold your nose like this?
Body odor is caused by germs. That's why you need the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which protects against 99.9% odor-causing germs with an extra burst of menthol freshness. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Dialogue, empathy, love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy. Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
All right, thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. I'd like to return to Professor Nito Shenge. Sir, you talked about reprogramming ourselves, adjusting ourselves, especially when you travel out of your time zone. What is the therapy for doing this? Because in some persons, it may be extremely difficult for one to readjust. And that's, of course, when you talk about time, jet lag and what have you. Some people really take ill after traveling out of their time zone. So is there any kind of a therapy that one may require to be able to effect the adjustment you talked about?
Thank you so much. There are certain techniques that people use. These are issues that affect our mental state and our physiological makeup, all of this. So that suggests that certain things need to be adjusted to. For instance, the kind of thing that one eats, the amount of rest that one needs, the certain exposure that one gets used to. So it involves finding out what needs to be done. Of course, here we're talking about even changes in terms of the weather, changes in terms of the environment, changes in the, some people, for instance, are used to living in a noisy environment, and then they might travel to an environment that is not as noisy as that, or it could be the other way around, from a less noisy environment to a very noisy one. So it requires making deliberate efforts to act in such a way that your body gets adjusted to some of these things. For instance, when you go to a temperate zone, for instance, away from a tropical environment, of course, you know that taking hot beverages to warm up is very important. Sleeping and covering yourself very well, and then dressing properly. For instance, people say in Western countries, you dress for the weather. You know, dress for the weather. So your dressing has to match the weather, and all of these things facilitate coping and resetting of the psychological clock. And like I said, it goes on gradually. But of course, when it is not there, when it is not well set, we are affected in so many ways. When you deprive yourself of sleep because the environment you're coming from, something has upset that, you're going to experience all kinds of things like a headache and so many other things. So resetting the clock is very important. And when one feels that getting that clock reset is becoming so challenging in terms of maybe health-wise, it's also good to see an expert, a doctor, you know, to try to help you to deal with such an issue, because some people actually travel and they get sick. They need some medical attention to be able to adjust very well. So these are some of the things, and of course, some psychological aids. For instance, not thinking negatively. You know, we talk about cognitive restructuring. You restructure your cognition, because the things that we think about and the way we think about them affect us. Like the great psychologist Albert Ellis said, it is not what happened to us that affects us, but the way we perceive, the way we look at things as a way of affecting us seriously. And that's why there's a new area of psychology that came out about 15 to 20 years back. They call it the positive psychology, so that we tend to now look at our cup as being half full rather than being half empty. And that makes a great difference. Thank you so much.
Professor Shenge, thank you very much. I know that Chubuke, we haven't come to you because there is a big one for you to address. That's the critical value of therapy in facilitating rest. But while we are waiting for that, I want Dr. Olushola to also respond to this, because we've talked about some of the environmental challenges that we have that could impede rest, and therefore let's call these ones rest interrupters. So you are trying to rest, and then that is when your neighbor decides to start pounding. You know, all the children will start playing football. They are noisy. Alternatively, just when the sleep is coming or your mind is getting relaxed, NEPA takes light, or whatever name they are called, the discos, they take light, and so your body is still saying, all right, no, I will adjust, and then somebody switches on, I better pass my neighbor. And all kinds of things that are just disrupt, even if you have shut down your phone and so on and so forth. How do you mentally restructure yourself? Because this is not just a one-off occurrence. As we know, this is the kind of environment we live in. And Professor Shenge has already talked about how that can even impact your creativity, whether as a composer or as a writer. But as a defense mechanism, how do you arrest such interrupters of your rest?
Well, thanks for that question, because it's very practical. This is something that is very common. First of all, I'd like to say that, rest must be intentional. Somebody wants to rest and the person is determined to rest. And there are some things that, one cannot control. You cannot control when the neighbor decides to pound yam, or the children, not even your own children, the neighbor's children decide to play outside and make noise. But there are certain practical things one could do. For example, one can try to see if one can mask the noise by, if you are fortunate and there's electricity, maybe playing some gentle music that might hopefully cover that sound. Also, a very practical thing is to have earmuffs. A lot of people don't use them, but earmuffs are very, very practical, especially when you stay in a noisy environment. Earmuffs and eye coverings, because sometimes too, it isn't always that the light is controlled, but a person can use eye shades, a person can wear earmuffs, a person can put on music, draw the curtain. And let me say this, sometimes too, it's good you can change where you want to sleep. If the pounding is going on here, you might just have to go and take your nap in the sitting room where the noise is less. I mean, if it's coming from right underneath your bedroom window, you can try to find another room in the house away from the place. Or if you study the neighbor and they always pound their yam around 2:30, then try to plan your sleep away. It's true. Then you try to plan your sleep away from that period. These are practically two things. But the most important thing is that rest must be intentional. The mind is very powerful. If you are determined to rest, yes, initially those environmental factors could want to impede things, but if your mind is really determined, mind over matter, you will eventually
get over it.
Is this what, Kira, I just wondered why you are on this determination to rest, to say rest being intentional. There could be physical factors that one can presume, but does this explain a situation where, for instance, you see the barrow boys, those who work in markets and so on and so forth, they just push their barrow somewhere and then the next thing they lie there. They're in the market where the din of noise ordinarily will not allow you to sleep. And the guy is just sleeping. When he wakes up, he stretches his body and his bones will crack like that. So how do you explain that?
I think he has actually rested.
Absolutely. How do you explain that?
Noise.
Well, first of all, in that case you gave, the person could be really physically exhausted. When a person is exhausted, no matter the noise, the person is very, very likely to still sleep. But, like you said, there's also a very important element of being determined to sleep. Those young people will tell themselves they want to sleep and they just call up. And again, the mind is a very flexible thing. Dr. Abdulmalik mentioned it earlier. Because of the flexibility of the mind, this market you think is noisy is this person's natural environment. And somewhere within that environment, he's got to rest. So his mind is trained. At that time when he wants to rest, he has trained his mind to shut off the environmental noise and is able to sleep. Okay. And let me just also say this, sometimes some kind of noises they can sound disruptive, but when they are repetitive, like a generator going very, very, that sound, eventually a person will
your system will get adjusted to it.
Yeah, but that is if it is one generator, as that one is going on.
Now, let's turn to Dr. Chibike here. You know, we know that there are negative consequences of rest deprivation. Now, are there therapies, available to offset such a consequence for one to get his rest?
Thank you very much. Actually, there are some of my patients actually suffer from insomnia. They hardly sleep. They find it difficult to sleep. So, but usually I advise them, just every day, you must find out time to exercise. It's recommended that everybody should be exercising at least 30 minutes moderate intensity aerobic exercises. I take myself for an example. Any day I exercise, I sleep very well. So, and every week I exercise at least 3 times. I target 5 times, but due to the nature of my work, at times I won't be able to meet up. But that 3 times, those 3 times in a week that I exercise, I see myself before 8:30 in the evening, I've already slept. My waking up is around 4-5 a.m. I must have slept very well. So exercise is one of the therapies that people should learn to adopt in order to kind of develop a better sleep habit. 2, if your bed is not comfortable for you to sleep, imagine a situation whereby you have a very soft mattress. So whenever you lie down, the cushion, some places are actually deep inside, some are also, by the time you are trying to sleep, you are very uncomfortable. And once you are very uncomfortable, sleep won't come. Just a situation whereby you are having backache or neck ache or neck pain, and you are trying to sleep. The pain will keep waking you up. It's not, you can't sleep. I'm here until you take care of the pain. So, like Nigerian Society of Physiotherapy, we endorsed Mocha foam because their foam.
No, that's an advertisement.
Okay.
You endorse an orthopedic mattress.
Orthopedic mattress, yeah. So the orthopedic mattress, once you lie on it, you notice that you sleep well. And there are different sleeping positions that one can adopt in order to reduce some body aches, in order to reduce some things that can make you to always wake up. So if you are sleeping face up with pillow underneath your both knees, with pillow around your shoulder level, then around your head, it will make you to feel comfortable when you are sleeping up. If you are sleeping sideways, you tend to put pillow in between your knees, and as well making use of a cervical pillow. There's a type of pillow that we usually recommend called cervical pillow. So once you rest on it, it takes the contour of your shape, the way your neck is, the way your back is. If you just lie on it, you feel so comfortable, you see yourself sleeping. So once you develop an exercise habit, have a very good mattress, orthopedic mattress or semi-orthopedic mattress that you are using, then as well, if you're having body aches, tend to kind of see a physiotherapist to kind of work and help you to alleviate the pain. Once the pain goes, you'll be able to sleep better. Then you go for a massage. Stress management, making sure that your body and soul is actually at peace. So you can have stretches, you can have body massage, you can have exercise, you can go for swimming. By the time you finish this, you see yourself, even having a hot bath, you see yourself finding yourself in a state of relaxation mood. Someone like me, you have to kind of find out what actually makes you to rest. Individuals differ. That you are watching a movie making you to rest. Another person watching a movie can as well trigger the person not to rest.
So people are shallow sleepers, others are deep sleepers. Yes. Any small noise and then the person will wake up. Yes. Others, I mean, even if some strangers are banging on the door, they can even come and carry the person away. Yeah. How do you? I mean, is that learned or it's natural?
It's actually natural. Just we haven't been able to kind of define 4 stages of sleep.
Well, go ahead and define them. We still have time.
We in 4 stages of sleep, some authors will tell you that there are 2 major categories. the non-rapid eye movement and the rapid eye movement. So the non-rapid eye movement is made up of 3 stages. The 2 stages in the non-rapid eye movement are light sleep. You see yourself, anything that happens, you're already awake. While the 3rd stage in the non-rapid eye movement is deep sleep. In this particular one, that is when many activities actually see yourself, the brain is shutting down, your blood pressure drops, your breathing drops. Then that's the time the body repairs the tissues. That is the time it boosts your immune system. It works on your immune system. That is the time it boosts your energy level for the next day. It's like charging your battery. Then that's the time growth and development actually take place. Then if you're talking about the last stage, which is the rapid eye movement, is when you see yourself, the brain activity increases. That's the time that once you enter that stage, you see yourself, the brain, your eye will be moving, having a dark movement. So once your eye is actually moving around, you now notice that's the time that information, all the information you gather throughout the whole day are stored in the long-term brain memory. So once it is stored, you always recall, you always remember those things in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, as the case may be.
Now some persons use some stimulants to get rest or to get sleep. Some drink beer, some take other stimulants, some smoke and things like that. Is it advisable?
It's a very bad habit, very, very bad habit. Because you talked about smoking. When you're smoking, people that even advertise, they will tell you that smokers are liable to die young. It's actually a stimulant for you. Maybe it's working for you to use it to sleep, but at the long run, what are you trying to gain? Is it helping your health? These are the things you need to put into consideration.
Right, Kieran has raised this. Let's go to Ibadan. Dr. Jibril Abdul Malik. A number of persons, apart from relying on stimulants that Kieran talked about, also rely on sedatives. You hear all kinds of prescription drugs, and I think that in recent years, pharmacists have been more careful in dispensing them. But there are still a number of OTCs, that's over-the-counter drugs, that people can pick up to help themselves rest and sleep. But of course, it does lead to addiction in one respect. How helpful are these sedatives on the one hand, and what should one do to avoid them, to get natural rest, and then help rebuild your body?
And in some cases, they are prescribed, or in some cases, they are prescribed.
Prescribed, that's right, yes. Dr. Malik.
Right, thank you very much. We need to do things properly. And that's where many of us are very complacent and negligent, and that is not nice. Dr. Oluwanuga has mentioned a phrase that I'm going to be repeating, and we need to be intentional about it. Sometimes you may have insomnia, you may have high levels of anxiety, and your doctor may prescribe medications for you to help you sleep better for a short period of time, or maybe your blood pressure is high and your doctor wants to ensure that you are really resting, and so he places you on a sedative for 3 days or for 5 days. Usually we use sedatives for a short period of time as an acute intervention. Not that it should now be something that, I'm not sleeping well, that's prescription my doctor gave me, let me go and buy it. Every time I'm not sleeping well, I'll go and buy it. And then for some people, it now becomes like their daily food. And if you continue to use it all the time, your body will get accustomed to it. Your body will become tolerant to it, and that dose will no longer work. You now have to increase the dose, take double the dose the doctor wrote for you to be able to sleep. And that is the slippery slope down the addiction pathway. And you then get to a situation where sometimes you cannot sleep if you do not take something. And then you keep taking stronger and stronger. Let's remember that a very famous musician, Michael Jackson, died from overdose of sleep. His own got so bad that he had a doctor, of course unethical, and that doctor is serving jail time now, to come and actually install machines in his house the machines and the drugs used to sedate somebody for operation, right, is what they are using to make him sleep every day, because the routine drugs he has been taking over time, his body has become so used to them that they were no longer working for him. They now had to come and install machines in his house to come and be administering drugs to put him to sleep every day. That is unethical, that was wrong, and he died from an overdose of those kind of drugs. So let's not go that way at all. It is completely not advisable. What then should we do? I mentioned sleep hygiene earlier. We need to be intentional. Let's put all of these things together. There are practical steps that we can all do, and they will help us to have a good sleep habit, sleep pattern. And if you are still having problems, then you see a specialist. So that's the way to go. What are these practical steps? Again, for emphasis, exercise regularly. When we say exercise, it doesn't mean go to the gym. You can put on music and dance in your bedroom for 30 minutes. As long as you walk out, you walk a sweat and so on, it's exercise. You can walk from one side of your wall of your compound to the other 20 times, 30 times, and so on. It's exercise. It's not until you wear tracksuit, wear canvas, and go and register in a gym and go and do some things on the gym. That's not the only form of exercise. There are many ways. You can use a skipping rope. You can do aerobics. Right? Many things you can do. So exercise is good. Regular bedtime. Our body likes habit, likes scheduling. So it's good to have a regular bedtime. So if it's 10 o'clock, let it be 10 o'clock. If it's 11, let it be 11. Then make sure that you start slowing down before that time. Don't eat a late dinner. Eat an early dinner, and preferably eat something light. Okay? Avoid stimulants like drinks that have stimulants in them, coffee and so on, and all of those ones. Avoid them in the evenings. You can take them in the mornings if you want, but once it's late afternoon going towards evening, don't take them. Reduce gadgets, TV, phones, and all of that. Put them on silent and so on. If you will sleep better with dim light, put up the lights. Take a hot shower. A hot shower sometimes can be like a massage, right? That it actually helps you feel more relaxed. Take a hot shower, change into your night clothes. Having that kind of routine is not just for show. It's conditioning your mind to say, okay, it's time to retire. It's bedtime. So once you go and take a shower, your body already tells itself that, okay, so we are getting ready to sleep. Then you go to the bedroom, you wear your pajamas, you dim the light, you put your phone on silent, you put it away, you get into bed, and then you cover yourself up, and then you try and have some quiet time, and gradually you'll fall asleep. But remember, this is not like a magic bullet. It's just like bodybuilding. It's just like bodybuilding. If you go to the gym and you lift weight 20 times today, your muscles will not get bigger. But if you do 20 times every day for 6 months, your muscles will start getting stronger and bigger, and you'll be able to do bigger weights. So if you are trying to practice sleep hygiene, know that it will take some time for your body to adjust to what you are trying to train it for before it then works effortlessly for you. But you need to hang in there. That's what coaches tell athletes, and that's what we all need to tell ourselves too. We need to hang in there and do it consistently until it begins to work for you. As much as possible, let us avoid over-the-counter drugs. Some people buy cough syrups and cold medicine for cold, so many other things just to make themselves sleep. That is artificial, and as I mentioned earlier, that leads us down the slippery slope of drug addiction. That is not helpful at all. Thank you.
All right, thank you too for that implicit analysis on the issue of using sedatives or stimulants to, of course, get some good sleep. We have some tweets here, actually. Many Nigerians are beginning to respond to this conversation. We have several of them. Kinsley,
that's right. Suleiman Babagana. Adequate rest is acquired by having a good sleep after the day's work, as it ensures better productivity and concentration, and reduces the risk of obesity, lowers risk of heart disease, and more social and emotional intelligence increases, and prevents depression, and ensures a strong immune system.
Yes, Festus Sakimba, the best way to rest after a hectic day is to put our computers and smartphones away, engage in what makes you feel happy, safe and comfortable, like listening to music and then go to bed early and other things that he wrote.
Atahiru Bala says, I don't think it's about knowing how to rest, but affording rest. Rest is a luxury few can afford. I work in the media and our job is 24/7, weekends inclusive. Your day off is not sacrosanct, while your leave is a privilege, and for how much?
Yeah, Christine, I'm afraid we may not be able to take all of these.
There's a number of the points that they've talked about here have also been addressed by our guests. I was just wondering, there is a critical point here that Atahiru Bala has raised about the job environment. The policy implication of this, unfortunately, we don't seem to talk about this in labor. Ordinarily, work hours are supposed to be broken. You are supposed to have tea break mid-morning, and then you have lunch break, maybe for about an hour or so, but everything looks so distorted. Nobody has tea break in the morning, or alternatively, the person comes, which is when the person resumes, that he will start taking his bread and tea in the office and work suffers. There's no lunch break. If you say you are going for lunch break, you say, have you finished that work? So how do we overcome this and get it as part of our occupational practices?
This is going to be a policy matter.
That's right.
Because if it's not a policy matter, in our working environment, you can't take it upon yourself as a staff to say, look, let me have a break, without it being a policy.
Attracting a query.
Exactly, it's attracting a query to you.
Right.
So it's a policy matter that we're taking at another level. But at this point, we are closing up on this particular edition of Good Morning Nigeria, and it's indeed nice for us to thank Dr. Olushola Ephraim Oluwanoga, the senior lecturer in psychiatry at College of Medicine, University of Abuja, and chief consultant psychiatrist in the National Hospital. Well, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Dr. Mbamalu Chibike, chairman, Nigerian Society of Physiotherapy, FCT chapter. It's been a pleasure talking to you this morning. And Professor Nito Shenge, psychologist and public health expert, University of Ibadan. We thank you for your insights this morning. Dr. Jibril Abdul Malik, founder at CEDAW Foundation, would also like to appreciate you for contributing immensely to this edition of Good Morning Nigeria. All right, and that's our show for today. We thank you for watching. Today is Friday, of course. Kinsley is going to be a weekend.
That's right. I wish them a lovely weekend. Good Morning Nigeria is back on Monday at 7 in the morning. Stay safe and be well. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Kirian Umar. Have a great weekend.